Along the same lines of what both of the gentlemen said, education has to be first and foremost. Starts with management. If it's not being executed from the top down, then you're pretty much wasting your time. And I think that internally, that's what we deal with, is educating our most senior managers on the importance of digital, and also as a cost, because at the end of the day, they're looking at that department as a cost, and it's not delivering the type of revenue that it needs. So it also doesn't need to be viewed as a separate deal. It needs to be part of the overall strategy. It doesn't need to be a digital strategy. It needs to be part of the station strategy. And a lot of times what happens is stations will say, hey, digital, you guys have this thing over here, and it's not a priority for the station. And they're just looking at it as a cost center. So I think until that point to where the managers are 100% on board and they feel like it's an integrated part of what we're doing as a station, it won't be successful. The sellers don't understand it. In addition to that, advertisers need to be educated as well. We saw the guy up here from the agency perspective basically saying we're really not interested in radio station websites for the most part. I'm not trying to roast him or anything like that, but at the same time, we're talking to retailers who don't necessarily understand what a cost per thousand is. So there has to be an education process going on with not only managers, advertisers, as well as sellers.
I was going to share an idea before we run out of time that will help you generate revenue. We had $4 million in network last year that was spilled that we moved into spot television, and we decided to work with radio. So there was some frustration in some music program directors' world where they needed some more content for PPMs. So we met with some stations on the programming side, and we structured a break with NFL players. So we did a thing, and this was particularly popular on music stations. It was just one station per market, but it could be multiple stations. We got a star player from each team, because as you probably know, you can't say the NFL. We got a star player from each team who would do a show the day after the game. And both the female stations, I would say just as much as the male stations, but Fan in New York wanted it, et cetera. So it cleared every market eventually. So you run a commercial into the break, and then every morning they'll have a phone at their house. They do the break with the morning show, and then you can re-edit it however you want, and you create benchmark times when they're going to talk. So the football players talk about the game. They're well-known stars. They don't say the NFL. And then there's a commercial coming out of the break, and then there's usually promos that run through the week and usually tie a schedule to it. Then on the website, you create a page that's about this player, and this player generally gets a car, makes appearances. You start doing UGC and crowdcasting to drive engagement on the sites. We've had that where we used loyalty programs without using on air to drive traffic for autographs, et cetera, at dealerships. Auto is very popular, but you can use 2 sponsors. And that generated $4 million of brand new business to radio.
And I know that many of you kind of had the widget du jour. I don't know if that's happening quite as much anymore, but it was kind of the sense of we're just starting to figure out this thing, and corporate went zip and said, now we want you to do this thing, and yet we didn't have any time to make this a success, so it's labeled a failure. And so now this thing that we think really could have done some great work for us, we can't pursue anymore. Just Nicole, you look like you're ready.
I so have something to say
you're
about
dressed
that.
for it.
You know,
go for it. That's a problem.
This is a huge problem that we see with a lot of our clients, honestly. It's, there's a new network. We need to be on that network. The thing that I would say is that it's important to take time to actually do some research on where your audience is. I can tell you that there's been one exception to this rule where we do what is called a conversation report. We actually look at 12 months of conversations around some specific topic, right? We just recently did this around vodka because we're launching a vodka for Tayo Cruz. And this is the one exception to the rule that I've found. When we do this, we're looking for buying indication, like when people are talking about, say, like we did it for a car company, and it was specifically around a car that had really good technology. It was a car that was a small car, and it was targeted at a specific demographic. And so we're looking for when I'm looking to buy a fuel-efficient car, what people say and what those conversations look like. And what we found is that everyone is so worried about Twitter and Facebook, but no one has stopped to think about the conversations that existed before Twitter and Facebook were there, on forums and blogs. When 80% of conversations around whatever that advertiser is talking about are happening on blogs and forums, or if you're like your target market, the key things that they care about, then it may not be, Twitter and Facebook may not be the best short-term strategy.
The fact that all of you are here, and Eric made mention of that earlier, puts you ahead of all your competition. The fact that you're owners, managers, and you've invested the time puts you a step ahead in this space already. So I urge you to take that back to your coworkers and your co-conspirators, because that's how you're going to be best prepared in this space. That's how you're going to be primed to know where to take and to know where technology is going. Takeaway is come to events like this. Come to other events that are out there within the industry, so you're better prepared and your mind is better prepared to explore what the possibilities are. So.